Welcome to another episode, a special episode actually, of On the Capo Stand Podcast. I am your host, David, and alongside yours truly, two new faces. This guy's all the way from another continent. You probably know them as the English Lion in Orlando City, UK. So we have Dan Barrett from the English Lion and Taylor Williams from City, UK. How you guys doing?
Good
Yeah,
to
doing
be
great.
here.
Thanks.
Yeah, really good.
Thanks for
Thank
having us
you.
on.
Awesome, awesome. Real quick. I'm sorry, I forgot. We're not live. It's recorded. uh, I just want to let you guys know if it's the first time you're watching the show. We're live on Mondays, 9 p.m. during the season, and you're more than welcome to come on the show. Just be on the screen or comment live, and obviously we'll read your comments. Where can you find us? Well, usually we're live on Twitch, and I'm cheating because I'm actually reading the strip here. We're usually live on Twitch, on X, at On the Capo Stand, everywhere except on YouTube, which is at Davis Channel 76. Soon we're gonna be live on Instagram. I just found out today that Instagram is gonna be doing lives and broadcasting. We're on Facebook at On the Capo Stand, on TikTok at On the Capo Stand, on Threads at On the Capo Stand, and Blue Sky at On the Capo Stand. With that said, gentlemen, let's. Last time we spoke, basically we were talking about the half of the season, which wasn't stellar, and what has happened since. Let's go ahead and do a quick review of how we finish 2023 before I give the microphones to the gentleman here. I have to say we broke records, most points, best position, second in the league is nothing to be ashamed of. But unfortunately, we couldn't close the deal, and the eventual champions, Columbus Crew, were the ones that took us out of playoff contention. So let's start with that. Let's start with you, Dan. Since you are on the top of the screen, um, what's your assessment of the second half of the 2023 season?
It was almost perfect, wasn't it? The way it ended. I think when I was last on, we kind of spoke about what would constitute a successful end to the season, and I think I said Eastern Conference semi-finals. So, I was pleased with that. Obviously, you're never happy to fall out of the playoffs, but I always kind of feel a little bit better when you lose to the eventual winners. It's like a small bit of solace I can take. But yeah, no, we played some great stuff, made some great memories. We were really unfortunate in that match. It was just one of those games where it just things just weren't going our way, and it just wasn't meant to be. But I came out of it feeling really positive. There's a lot to build on from next season. There'll be a fair bit of turnover. We've already seen a couple leave. I'm sure we'll talk about that. But yeah, no, overall very positive and very hopeful heading into 2024.
Taylor?
Yeah, echoing Dan's points. Very, very happy. Now it's been a few weeks since that Crew game, which in all of the years we've been watching the team, that one hurt a lot. We've had a lot of lows and a lot of highs, but that one hurt big time. But now the dust has settled, as I say. It's been a few weeks. So proud of the regular season we put together, especially considering where we were. And like you said, David, when the last time we was on, what the team did, the coaching staff, the squad, the supporters, everyone united and pulling together. I think we can be really, really proud of what we achieved last season. No silverware to show for it, of course, but as passionate as ever. And really can't wait for 2024. I know we've lost a couple of key pieces, pieces we expected to lose, if we're honest with you. But looking forward to the future. I think the future is very bright with the coaching staff we've got.
No, absolutely. And now that you guys have mentioned that, it was probably the worst kept secret in Orlando. Mauricio Pereira, our former captain, has moved on, returning to Club Nacional in Uruguay, to pretty much what it looks like his farewell tour. One of the things that I know is that one of the reasons why Mauricio wanted to move away from Russia was his son was going to be starting school. He wanted to be in an environment that was going to be easier for him because I mean, Russian. His son doesn't speak Russian, so it was going to be very difficult for that. And he had plans to come back to Uruguay, retire, and then look at enjoying the fruit of his labor, find a new career and move forward, return to be around family. If you have ever been in a situation where you move away from home and from your family and your friends. And I know Taylor, you did that when you moved to Canada. So it's one of those things that eventually I want at some point you want to return to your people, to yours. So we wish him the best. He leaves us in a better place that he found us, and for that I'm super thankful. Antonio Carlos also returned home to Brazil. He has been announced that he's returned to I can't even say it. Fluminense. I hope I'm saying that correct. Uh, yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tongue twister. And he had already said again that he wanted to return. A lot of fans that this players that come from communities that have big diaspora groups here in Orlando. People know people. They go to the same churches. They shop in the same places. They hang out with the same people. So this type of stuff filters out. Again, we wish him the best. One of the best defenders in the league, one of the best defenders that we ever had, and certainly he leaves us with a good record. Adam Greenwich, unfortunately, he did not see many minutes with us in his return, but I have to say one of the guys that with one of the most iconic moments in the league. We wish him well as well. When I spoke with him at Publix, he was already hinting that he was looking at returning to USL, give it a go for a few years, and then probably just hang up the boots. He's expecting a child, as we found out over the weekend. So anybody that has kids, I know Dan, you do. At some point you have to say, okay, well, do I keep following the dream or do I actually get a job that pays the bills? And last, one that hurt me was Wilfredo Rivera, who I have seen with the Puerto Rico national team balling, and I never understood why he couldn't get first team minutes. But it is what it is. Football is cruel and unpredictable. Managers and players come and go. Supporter remains. All right, my friends, I spoke way too much on that one, and you are not here for me. You're here for the guys. So with that said, let's go with Oscar Pareja. Let's go ahead and talk about this. As you guys know, I was one of those that felt, especially last time we spoke, that Oscar couldn't adopt, couldn't change, and he was set in his ways. He proved me wrong. There was a lot of rumors that he was going to leave, that the club sat on Tite way too long. Tite made a move, and then they were forced to stay with Oscar. Listen, Oscar's gonna be our manager in 2024. I'm gonna support him 1,000% because rooting against him is like wishing your pilot crashed the airplane. Makes no sense. So, with that said, guys, let's start with you, Taylor, since Dan went first last time. Well, we with Oscar Pereira moving on in 2024.
Well, when I saw Tom Bogut tweet, what was it, a week ago, saying that talks have gone well, and it appears to all of us, it's kind of the worst kept secret that he will be continuing with us in Orlando. I've been smiling ever since because I love the guy. I love what he's done with Orlando City in the last 4 seasons, and even when we were struggling, because we were struggling, let's make no bones about it, I still wanted him to be the guy, even when it was getting harder to believe that he could. And I'm smiling because the future is bright under him. Who knows? We don't like to make excuses in sport, but it was a game of fine margins against the Crew. The eventual winners, of course. If the football gods were with us on that day, Ojeda puts it in. We were very, very close. So to anyone, who didn't want him to continue, I think you would be so incredibly foolish if you were the front office to tear it all down and start from scratch. Oscar's deserved this new contract. It's not official yet, of course. It's an unpredictable sport, but we all expect that announcement to come within the coming hours now. I think it's a matter of hours, and it will be very, very well deserved, not only for the last 4 years, but for what he did this season most recently. You saw the season Cincinnati put up, Supporters Shield winners, deserved, couldn't get it done against their state rivals, So no one has a God-given right to win Major League Soccer. It is the holy grail, but I really do feel that even though we've lost a couple of pieces, I back our front office to get the guys Oscar needs. He's crucially shown he can adapt. That was the big question mark over his head at the halfway point. But he's shown now that he can, he can adapt. And that's what we all wanted him to do. And as I said on the top of the show, looking forward, positive, looking into the future. And 2024, we will go again, better for the experience.
Absolutely. Nothing else. Dan.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. I mean, earlier in the season, I was quite open about it. I felt like a change of management was needed. I had concerns about the way we managed games, the style of football we were playing. We weren't being aggressive enough, like defensively or in an attacking sense. And I had serious reservations about his ability to turn us into the team that we knew that we could be. And I was wrong. And I think anyone that was in the quote unquote Pappy out crowd, every single one of them would have said, look, if he turns it around, great. That's the best possible scenario. I want to be wrong. And I was one of those people. I wanted to be wrong, and I was wrong, and I've never been so happy about it. So yeah, we were just fun to watch towards the end. We were fun to watch. They moved the ball around quickly. There was, you always kind of felt like we had a goal or two in us. We were entertaining. We kept the ball well. We managed the game well. We defended well. And we were just really unlucky when it came to the crunch time. We were just really unlucky. And I like Taylor said, I think it'd be stupid to let him go now. Get the contract signed, get it done, and then look forward to next season. And I think we can have an even better season. I really do.
No, for sure. And I have to tell you that the fact of the matter is, like you said, I wanted Oscar to win, plain and simple. And I have to say that my history in this, as a fan of the sport, is one in which it's difficult to turn it around, because I've been there, and it doesn't matter how positive you are, things don't change. And my overseas teams are very attacking minded teams, and with us, we were very conservative, playing out of the back. In I got anybody that tells you that things were great at the beginning of the season is lying to himself, or is not being honest. And and to the British audience, this may sound a little pretentious, but Americans like high scoring, attacking football. It's because what do they have to reference? Basketball, American football, hockey. You know what I mean? So they want that type of attacking football. I guess EPL provides that. That's the reason why Americans flock to that rather than the EFL. Honestly, if I can say that. So with that said, I'm just happy that Oscar turned it around. One of the things is Oscar was playing a 4-3-2. If let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7. 4-3-2. Well, he switched to a 4-3-2-1 at an attacking 4-2-3-1, which I felt that it was it's probably the most simple formation in football.
Yeah.
So I was like shocked by that. There was a formation, and right now, I'm sorry, it escapes my head, my mind, whatever.
5-3-2. He had Gaston.
Thank you. I was like counting in my head. I I was getting in my head how many players I had.
And it
Yeah.
didn't work. It didn't work.
Yes. So with that said, I think we have done great. And one thing that I have to mention, guys, is that he had a meeting with the fans in a pub in up in Altamont Springs. That's a suburb north of Orlando, and about 30 people showed up. I wish I could have done it, but it was in a day in the week where getting there from work and coming back to do the show was impossible for me. Um, but he was honest, and he just told the people, "Hey, listen, these are the problems that we had." Um, we sold Ayrton Cara. Do you guys agree with the way he was sold and his performance here? Let's start with you, Dan, and then we move on to Taylor.
Yeah, I think so. And I was always a fan of Ocean Cara. I just don't think we played to his strengths. He's a system striker. He needs to play with a little guy, winning the flick-ons. He can't be a lone striker. He just can't do it. And I think when you've got a guy who's taking up a DP slot and he's on lots of money, and then you have a guy like Duncan Maguire come in, who's just all round more suited to the way we play. He's physical, he's fast, he can finish, he can do everything you need a lone striker to do. It just didn't make any sense to keep Cara around. And actually, while the European window was open and we could get some money for him, it was a no-brainer, really. I think what I would like to see this winter is see that money reinvested in another
Absolutely.
striker who can compete with Maguire. I think that's essential, because when Duncan Maguire gets hurt or is away on international duty, we just Ramiro Enrique he's a good player. I do like him, but I just don't know if he's got the knack, enough of a knack of scoring goals to fill in for any sort of extended period of time.
Keep that thought there, Dan,
Yeah.
because after Taylor talks, I got some good or bad news, depending on how you want to take it. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm intrigued. We've got to skip ahead now.
No. Go ahead, Taylor. I guess, and I don't want. I'm not gonna make you guys suffer. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, it was the right time to part with Urchin Cara. I mean, it says something, doesn't it, when the US transfer window had closed, so we couldn't sign a replacement, yet we were like, we're good. And ever since, if you think back, ever since the DC game, first away game of the season, where Maguire got handed his big chance essentially by Oscar, who trusted him, we saw, that he was a poacher. We saw that he had natural goal scoring abilities, and the thing we've got this upcoming week, we've got the draft again. I'm super excited about that.
Yes.
I don't think any other supporter of any other MLS team looks forward to the draft as much as we do, has since it's been our success in it. So yeah, Maguire is an interesting one though. Do we keep him going into 2024? I think yes. I don't think the European interest is going to translate. I can't be 100% sure, but yeah, there's no matter how good or bad or bang average Orlando City's season is, the off season always seems to be big turnover. So I see Maguire though, for what it's worth. I see Maguire leading a line again in 2024. I think it would do him good to stick around one more full season. Miraculous, really. We talked about Pereira at the start of the show, and I think looking back, Pereira owes a lot of it to himself for switching from the 5-3-2 to the 4-2-3-1. But quite simply, the form of Duncan Maguire, a rookie season for the ages, I mean, that had a lot to do with the way we finished the season. And that goal at TFC, man. He retired Michael Bradley on his own.
No, I had the chance to. I met him at for those that don't know, the club did player appearances at Publix, and I went to like 6 or 7 of them. I burned some gas going all over this city. I had the opportunity to meet with him. Probably the most, aside from Torres and Felipe's appearance, probably one of the ones to where I was there for like an hour. All the other ones, you shut up, shake hands, sign here, whatever. And anyhow, I have to tell you, I asked him, and his response was like, "Somebody had to do it. Might as well be me." I mean, that's the type of cold-blooded answer I want from a striker. Strikers, have to be cocky, have to have that like wrestling persona of like they have to hold the alligators down. If I have to quote the great Ric Flair. You have to be like that. You have to if you're a '80s '90s kid like me, Ric Flair is the guy. So I'm gonna tell you guys while I was saying that I had something that it was good or bad. 2024 is an Olympic year, and Duncan McGuire is going to be with the U23s, which is usually the Olympic
Yeah.
team.
Yeah.
That's Ramiro Enriquez is going to be with Argentina. Um, Cesar Araujo is going to be with Uruguay, and God knows if Mikey Holiday or any other younger guys gets picked for this, and that means summer of sadness if we're losing these type of
Yeah.
guys.
Mm.
And football is football. Our league makes a bad choice, in my opinion, not to cease operation while these FIFA windows open up. But yeah, guys, we have that going on, and so we're gonna miss in my opinion, key figures that contribute to the club. With the Nebraskan assassin, Duncan McGuire, I have said it many times. Um, it's surprising because this kid comes from Nebraska, and Nebraska is a rural state. I never been because I had never had any reason to be
Yeah.
to begin with. I
Sorry,
know,
yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of corn there. That's all I know. There's a lot of corn. They call it flyover country for a reason. And this kid come out of nowhere. And please don't get this wrong because what I'm about to say about Duncan maybe misconstrued it like that. Fact is Duncan is it's just an American white guy. And what I say with this is he doesn't come from a European pedigree, he doesn't have a Argentinian grandfather. You know what I'm saying? He just doesn't come from a cauldron of football like California, Texas, or Florida. He's just a guy that picked up the sport and he's just very good at it. That's what makes Duncan to me as a football fan so unique. The
Yeah.
kid just played football in a city in the middle of nowhere, and we draft him. Mind you, he wasn't our first pick. Okay, he could have gone to anybody. Yeah, I think he was picked 8 in the draft. Now that Taylor brings up the draft, we're going to talk about that in a second. And this kid ball, we can pick diamonds out of the draft.
Yeah, we can. We can. I
And
mean, I said it in a recent blog. I mean, striking out lucky once, it's luck. When you do it 3 times, there's a trend.
Absolutely.
So I mean, it kind of. I was thinking about it earlier today as I was doing the washing up. I mean, whoever we now pick in the draft, there's some pressure there because
Yes.
Yeah.
I say pressure. There's inspiration there because whoever we pick, you can say Kyle Larin, you can say Daryl DK, you can say Duncan McGuire. You can be like these guys because there's a pathway here. So.
Yeah.
I'm super excited. I've kind of commandeered the conversation to the draft.
No. I'm glad you brought it up. I probably would have forgotten about it. It's next week. And guys, I gotta tell you, this year the off season is very short. We have been told by several outlets, and I'm looking at my calendar as I'm telling you this, that the guys are gonna be back the second week of January. So we're looking at 4 weeks from today.
Flamengo, yeah, it's a very,
yeah.
very, very short off season. It's like there isn't one, honestly.
There's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys are correct. And and again, and I have some bad news. I want to hear your opinion on this. Every year we tend to have like tons of picks in the draft. This year we did so great last season.
Yeah,
And on the social media of the podcast we posted where we're gonna be picking. We're picking at the very bottom on all 3 rounds.
that's true. That's true.
So
I didn't even think of it, but you're right. Yeah, because of the second in the supporters shield. I mean, we're working with scraps this time. That totally over my head. You're right.
Well, you never know.
You
That's
never
what
know.
I'm saying.
Never
You never
know.
know.
They'll really
Never know.
earn if they still do it this time. I mean, seriously.
Taylor, if they do it, we owe. If everybody can pull $1 out of their pocket, we owe that to Ricardo Moreno and Luis Musi. If they can strike gold picking at the very bottom. But you never know. I mean, we may trade,
Trade up.
give some Garber bucks or something. I don't know.
He who should not be named right now.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know.
Hey.
Trust me. And we're gonna save that for last. But going back to the draft for a second, I want to get your opinion on this because it's an American thing, right? They don't have drafts in England or in the UK or anywhere really. And I don't believe you. Could guys correct me if I'm wrong? There's no football at institutional level like universities and colleges, right? That's non-existent.
There is, but it's amateur basically. It's not
Intramural, they call it here.
Yeah, there's a couple of like players that have sort of played university level and then been picked up by like a lower league club. The one I can think of is Joe Lolly, played for Huddersfield and he played for Forest. He was spotted playing for his university, then signed for like a lower league club. But there's no, like in the US, there's no like natural progression.
No, absolutely. I wish I could tell you the players that I thought every year there's players that are out there. We no longer have the combine where you sort of like get to pick, take a look at guys. Talking about that, you guys are over there. You guys probably know more than I. Daryl Dike, arguably we're most successful player coming out of the draft. And I know people are gonna be like, well, what about Kyle Aaron? Kyle Aaron forced his way out of here. It wasn't like the club wanted to sell him, so I'm just gonna put him in a special area by himself. And I know he hasn't been having the best of times in England. He's been hurt a lot, and I'm heartbroken for him. I don't know if you guys have been following his career. I know the last time I kept in touch with what was going on with him. He had a friendly with Stevenage at the Lamex, and all my friends in Stevenage were taking pictures of him. I mean, the club even took a picture of him, waving goodbye at me and tagged me on Twitter, which I appreciate because I'm special over there, beloved. I can say that. But what's going on with Daryl Dike at the moment?
Honestly, I haven't heard anything in a while. I don't know if Dan knows anything, but he's been out such a long time, and you said the ways. It is heartbreaking for the kid because we're edging closer to 2026, and I know that's a little way off just yet, but he had such an amazing start to his professional career, doesn't he? And this is just a lot of adversity to deal with right now. I'm not sure how close he is to seeing the field again for West Brom. Haven't heard anything worryingly for a little while now.
I just had a quick look. According to Fat Mob, middle of January, he's expected back.
Okay.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah,
so it's been a while,
he's struggled with his injuries. I mean, it's such a shame really because he could do really well over here. If he'd have stayed fit, he'd have probably been in the Premier League by now. For me,
yeah.
But
without a doubt,
he's made of biscuits, and that's the unfortunate thing for him, isn't it?
Yeah, and Barnsley, the team that he was loaned to when he was in Orlando, is now in League One. Unfortunately for them, was relegated last year. They're not doing that great. I can tell you that. It's
the Rowdies manager, no less, now as well at Barnsley, and Neil Collins, the guy who came onto the pitch in the first Open Cup game last season.
You kidding me?
Yeah,
I did not know that. No.
Whoa.
The guy who was at Rowdies last season.
So he managed Rowdies in 2022, and now he's managing Barnsley.
Neil Collins, I'm pretty sure. I don't want to.
My goodness.
I'm going to verify myself, but
no. Listen, I take it. I take it face value. Football is.
It is. Wikipedia verification.
That's amazing. Wow, I'm dumbfounded.
It's a step up for him, isn't it?
Going from St. Petersburg to Barnsley, I'm here talking trash about Barnsley. I'm sorry, but I know it's the Nebraska of England. Let's just put it to you that way. So I get it. So anyhow. All right, guys. So we as you guys know, the team, it's like we said, there's barely no off season. The club, and I'm looking at it, is going to be playing in January 27th against Flamengo, a Brazilian powerhouse.
Big team.
I heard originally the game was gonna be at the Citrus Bowl. I'm glad that it has been moved back to Exploria. I don't want our guys or Flamengo players getting hurt on that plastic carpet. Um,
Mm.
a lot of people were upset that it appears that the Flamengo fans are coming out of the woodwork, but that was expected. Once again, if you move to another country and your hometown team shows up, you're gonna move heaven and earth to go see them. So I already said it. No, for sure. I already said it. Hey, listen, if I don't get I don't get tickets, it's a friendly. I'm not gonna cry over spoiled milk. But what I mean, we have needs, guys. Need a 10, a center back. Unless you guys think that Danger Man, Rodrigo Schlegel is our starter. I don't think he is.
No,
No.
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 Nice guy, I love him.
I would say we need two centre backs, to be honest.
Let's actually, what? With that said, and I just brought Schlegel. On what do you guys think went wrong against Columbus?
He got that rush of blood to the head that I'd actually been defending him about ever since we crashed out of the Leagues Cup to Miami. I'd actually been singing his praises, deservedly, for having a bit more poise, a bit more of a clear head. And, the writing was on the wall as soon as he bulldozed his way. The first half, so needless. It was in the Crew half. I don't know what he was doing up there. You're going to make me angry all over again, David, but it's Rodrigo Schlegel. It's been a few weeks now, so I want to kill the guy. He wears the shirt with pride and passion, but there's a clear lineage in the 3 years. We get overly emotional and we get rash, and he's been the one who has done it more often than not. So yeah, it was a real hard way for him, Oscar, teammates, supporters. It sucked all around. But as good as he was with Robin Janssen, because that's where I feel for him a little, because he did improve his game a lot leading up to that moment against Crewe. He really did. If you say otherwise, you're in denial. He did, if you watched all of the games. But he's not a starting caliber centre half, and unfortunately all off season we've wondered, well, you had an AC25 fit on the bench, no room for sentiment. What would have happened if he played? I'm with Dan. I think we need a starting caliber guy. It won't be him, but someone of the caliber of Miles Robinson, even though he played for a rival, someone like that.
Yeah.
Back up, a lesser known guy, maybe out of the Central South America, something like that. But Schlegel, good depth man, has proved he can step in for a sustained run of games. Obviously, when you play more football under Janssen's guide, he got better, but he's over emotional at times. We know that better than anyone. And
as an emotional guy, I agree. Dan, what you got to add to that?
Yeah, similar to what Taylor said, really. I mean, towards the end of the season, he did play really well, and he was a lot more level-headed. And I'm not saying we should get rid of the guy at all. I think he's I've spoken to him before. He's a lovely guy. You can tell he's one of those people that's like really big in the dressing room, like a big presence.
No, absolutely. Somebody
that everybody gets along with. I think you need people like that. I would keep him, but he wouldn't be a starting centre back for me. Yeah, as I said, I think we need two. One who's going to be, the guy alongside Robin Janssen, and then another sort of to compete with Schlegel to be the next man up, sort of thing. Antonio Carlos leaving's a big blow. I think it wasn't unexpected. It's been on the cards for a while. I think he's actually involved in a bit of a triangle with my Premier League club, Forest. We're signing Fluminense's captain Nino as a centre back. So it kind of seems like he's the
replacement.
He's the replacement. So I mean, legend of the club, like Antonio Carlos. Somebody tweeted it earlier. It might have been John Rawlins. I can't remember. About his first 2 games, and I remember his first 2 games at MLS back, and he was shocking. I was like, I remember thinking, like, who is this guy? Oh my god! But what a player he's been. He's been
absolutely.
Just a great servant, a great guy. I said to a friend of mine last night, the purple.
Yeah.
That go red.
Yeah.
That will live with me forever.
Yeah, it's a great video.
Such a great moment. Such a great guy. That header against Atlanta. So many good memories.
The one where he was unconscious, scored and was unconscious. I mean, talking about, I always say, people need to feel the weight of the jersey and the commitment to the badge. And Antonio Carlos embraced that. He's definitely gonna be missed. And it's a sad part of football. That's why I always say, don't fall in love with players. Eventually, they're gonna leave.
Yeah.
It's just enjoy the moment and to quote one of those cheap birthday cards that you buy at a gas station. Don't cry because it's over. Cry because it happened or something like that, to that effect. But guys, who was your surprise of the season? We brought a bunch of new guys. I'm gonna give you 10 seconds. I'm gonna ramble for 10 seconds to give you time to think, and we're gonna start with Dan. Who was your surprise of the season? We brought DDT, Dagger Dan, one of my personal favorites, a guy that came here playing out of position as a right back, takes over that position, sits down Kyle Smith, who I thought, Kyle Smith could do no wrong in this club, and his minutes were limited. We also had, Ojeda, Martin Ojeda, who, in my opinion, did not live up to the DP tag. I think sometimes that's like a scarlet letter for players who they don't do well. Ramiro Enrique, and if I will have to look at the roster here to
Rafael Santos.
Okay.
Yeah, Petrasso didn't really play.
Petrasso, yeah, that's another one.
It was a busy off season last season.
Absolutely. Anybody, any names that you guys think that guy was
surprise for me, stepping in for me, the surprise. I didn't think Cartagena was going to be as good and pivotal as he was.
Literally, just going to say that, yeah.
And I mean, and he's the guy who, we've lost Antonio Carlos, we've lost Mauricio Pereira the first couple of weeks of the off season, but the guy we did nail down a couple of days ago, Wilder Cartagena. He's obviously been on loan at the club for a while, like Angulo, but I did not see him and Araujo being as influential as they proved to be. So I'd say Wilder. So glad we've got him on board. Locked down now on a permanent deal. Really, there were many reasons we finished second in the Supporters' Shield, but I think their partnership in the centre of the park. We physically dominated MLS games ever since that comeback. I don't know how we did it. That comeback at Columbus Crew. The team didn't.
Oh my God!
The team did not look back from that Maguire equaliser, and those two were the heartbeat. They really, really were. Araujo, master of the dark arts. Wilder Cartagena's a bit more level-headed than him, but they really balance each other well. Very athletic. Even chipped him with a few goals. He's never going to get many playing the position he does, but so glad to have him on board. I saw a few people, Evan Weston included, say, this could be, we've got obviously all of the off season to go yet, admittedly a short one, but that could be one of the most important bits of business. I believe so. I agree with that sentiment. I think as far as Angulo goes, I say I do expect us to do the same with him, Cartagena, to get him locked down on a contract, but I don't see that one being as easy to do. I was listening to the Orlando Lions Den podcast yesterday, Palmeiras. Obviously, whenever anyone loans a player to a club, they're putting them in the shop window. Angulo showed up really well. He was quite surprising as well, actually, this year to me. How much of it he was our best player for many months in the early season when it was tough for us. So that surprised me that he showed out. But I hope we re-sign him, but I don't think it's as sure a thing as what Cartagena was.
Absolutely. So Dan?
Yeah, it's a bit of a cop-out answer, but I was sat here thinking, who really surprised me? And like, Cartagena's probably the only one that surprised me. And he didn't really shock me. I knew he'd be decent, but I think the thing is, with the transformation towards the second half of the season, we talked earlier about we moved to that 4-2-3-1. The double pivot defensive midfield is so important in that formation, because if you think back to when we used to play that with like the likes of Will Johnson and Christian Higuita, like teams would just bypass our midfield. What Cartagena does so well is he reads the game.
Yeah.
He cuts off passing lanes. He's just the anchor of that midfield. We are such a worse team when he's not playing. He's become so important. So that's why he surprised me. Not that I thought he wasn't going to be any good. It's just I didn't see him becoming as important as what he is.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
So I think it's I'm so glad we've got him tied down. I think just on Taylor's point with Angulo as well, I kind of agree. It's going to be I think it's going to be a lot more difficult to tie him down, mainly because, no disrespect to Cartagena's previous club, but when you come in from Dubai, there's kind of the natural skepticism, isn't there? Whereas Angulo's at a very big Brazilian team who've exported players well, especially to Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a few to the Premier League recently as well.
A few at Forest, right? Didn't he?
Yeah, Danilo, Gustavo Scarpa. It's quite a few.
Yeah.
So, I think it'll be difficult. I think we have to get him tied down, though, especially with the way he finished the season. I mean, him and Facundo Torres were just sensational. He's going to be a big... We need to keep hold of Facu. I think we will for this window, at least.
I do.
The January window doesn't tend to be that big of a window, and what tends to happen is, as you guys know, teams tend to go for proven because they're either fighting relegation or they're going for titles or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll get him until at least the summer, and then you're looking at the likes of Martin Ojeda to step up and whoever else we bring in. But it's just exciting, isn't it?
No, absolutely.
David, I was just going to say as well, Dave, for all of the viewers that might be screaming, it's the obvious. There's Duncan Maguire. I mean, I don't think even he saw himself having the 2023 campaign he did. I mean, he's the obvious answer, but we wanted to dig a bit deeper.
No, aside from Duncan's mom, I don't think anybody thought that he was going to do great.
Yeah, I think we covered him already.
Yeah,
I mean, everybody anybody that's followed my content knows how high I am on that guy.
No, absolutely.
That guy will at some point end up in a top European league. I am absolutely convinced of it.
Yeah, me too.
No, I'm with you on that. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the Angulo and Cartagena situation. I have been to the UAE. Late 90s. It's before Dubai became this decadent Vegas in the Persian Gulf city. And I know that a lot of people in the Peruvian press were mad at him for going to the UAE because he went there for the money. Okay, let's just say that UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, these countries are Bahrain. They're always fighting to become this je ne sais quoi, whatever, like they want to create sporting leagues that are worthy of Europeans going there. And so he went there for the money. I can tell you, I've been to that part of the world. In the winter is unbearable because of the heat. I can't imagine in the summertime. And he just didn't have a good time there. He's a national team player for Peru. So it wasn't a hard sell for the player to stay here. I mean, he comes here. There's Peruvians everywhere. There's Spanish speaking people everywhere. There's the cultures like living in Orlando for a lot of Latin Americans is like being back home. So
And I don't know as
boom.
well, David, but like I
Yeah,
don't know 100% for sure, but I mean having the goalkeeper of the caliber of Pedro Galese, having an international teammate can't hurt, right?
Yeah.
You know, maybe
absolutely.
maybe we owe Wilder that as well, for
No,
keeping our
absolutely.
man
And
happy.
listen, there's a lot of people behind the scenes, in press, in working for the club that are Peruvian. So it makes that decision very easy for him to
Exactly.
say, "I want to stay here, even if I'm gonna lose a few dollars here and there." Because again, from people that I know that I don't have the authority to reveal their names, they told me that when he got to the UAE, outside of the 90 minutes of football, it's like, okay, what am I doing here? It's a different culture. It's not,
Mm.
nobody speaks Spanish. It's just different, right? So, so that's that. With Angulo, on the other hand, just like you guys have said, listen, the Brazilian league produces talent, and they sell high, they buy cheap and they sell high. And one of the things that I remember having a conversation with Ricardo Moreira, where he said that just because we have the money doesn't mean we have to spend it. That he has to be a good steward of the Wolves' purse, and that's perfectly great. It's something that I have heard before from my overseas clubs, because you over you can spend all the money in the world, win all the championships, you're broke. Guess what's going to happen? Just like you went up, you're going to go down. I mean, Barcelona has proven that. A few years back, we saw if I could go back to the EFL, Macclesfield, Bury, I mean, Scunthorpe, Oldham, and the list goes on of clubs that mortgaged the farm and the cow and failed to achieve, and they're either now in the National Leagues North or South, or
Premium League.
but I mean,
Yeah.
come on, and by the way, that's like sixth division in England for those that are not familiar. So I mean, it is what it is. With that said, are you guys satisfied from your perspective? I know, Taylor, you were not here this season, right? You did not go to any other games, and then I believe you made it to a few, right?
Not this year, no.
Not
No.
this year. Okay, I sort of remember seeing you on the
Yeah.
wall,
Last
but
season, I was at a few.
well, were you?
Getting older, David, and finances and responsibilities. It's a shock. It's the first year I've not been in a long time, and I miss it, man.
No, I
I
hear
miss
you.
it like you wouldn't
So,
believe. I would have. This sounds like being such a glory supporter, which
You bought a house. You know what
obviously
I
not.
mean?
But I would have been there for MLS Cup,
Listen, I
so
know.
I would have been there, and that was what was so cruel. Our one night's bad work, worst performance in 4 months, just snatched it away. I'm
yeah,
still
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I
behind
was
it.
I was googling flight prices.
Yeah,
I booked the day off work just in case like there was a way. I was fully prepared to fly over for like a night
me too.
Oh wow.
to, to come back.
As
Man,
David,
that's so
as David
sad.
always says, football is a cruel, cruel game.
It is. It is. But I mean, were you satisfied with the money that was spent on the roster? Because you guys can obviously give me an honest opinion of that. I have to tell you, I was satisfied with the improvements that were made to the stadium.
Mm,
For you guys and for our British audience that don't know, the Will family has bought practically 90% of the properties around the stadium, and
Yeah,
this is something that was confirmed by Tesha Kindele, which, by the way, Tesha Kindele now
real estate
lives.
mogul.
yeah,
Yes, exactly.
he would know.
Yes, he lives. He actually was on a podcast about urbanism. Believe it or not, my son is into this urbanism revival movement, whatever you want to call it. He got he got into it because Tesha was always talking about it. So my oldest son is into that, and I was listening to this podcast where he was talking about the fact that the Will family, they are developers. They have purchased all this land. The idea is eventually to transform what's around the stadium into mixed use, meaning people living on the top floors of these buildings, and the bottom buildings will be pubs and different businesses and stuff like that, which is going to definitely revolutionize the area.
Yeah.
Basically, the stadium being the anchor. Um, So with that said, there was a lot of improvements to they bought the church. I don't know if you guys knew the church that was
Yeah,
right,
the church.
Yeah, I knew
right.
that. Yeah,
They bought
Behind
that
the den,
property.
right? Behind the den.
Yes, exactly. They
yeah.
bought that property. The dam is going to be expanded. There's a lot of things that are coming up for the building, for the physical stadium. But as far as the roster, let's start with you then. As far as the roster, were you guys satisfied with the amount of money that was invested on the club in 2023?
It's quite a funny one because we did well and we recruited well, but when you look at the net spend figures for the whole league, we're rock bottom. I think we're
Rock bottom,
bottom or
yeah,
second bottom,
the lowest.
Yep.
which is incredible value for money. So no queries there, but yeah, I would like to see us spend a little bit more this summer. I kind of think, I know like Lucas Moura has been linked, and there's been one or two other names thrown around. I do feel like we could benefit from a Nani-esque signing, but if we don't get it and we buy cheap and like Facu and all these other guys, I'm perfectly okay with it, because Ricardo Moreira and Luis Musi, the work they've done, just like the scouting they do, even like if you think of Juan came from the second division in Brazil, I think.
Yes, absolutely.
That's some that's some hardcore scouting. That's the sort of thing you sit doing on Football Manager. Those guys know what they're doing. They know how to find a diamond in the rough. I fully, if we get to the end of the window and we've only spent, a similar amount to what we spent last year, I'll be happy with that because I trust them. I know what they're doing. But also at the same time, I would love like a marquee signing. I think that would be great. Give everyone a massive lift going into the season. But yeah, I trust whatever the guys are going to do, because they've proven it right. And talking about Oscar's contract earlier, we need to get those two guys sorted, because
yes, we do.
yeah, I am gobsmacked, Ricardo, especially with Ricardo, and he's such a lovely guy first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
Such a knowledgeable guy. I've spoken to him before, and the fact that he hasn't been snapped up by clubs in Europe or one of the big boys in South America, I'm really surprised about. I know he was linked with the DC United general manager's job, but I know it was a step up in the sense of going up to a general manager, but I don't, no disrespect at all to DC United, but I didn't see that as a good move for him. So if he's going to make a move like that, he's better off staying where he is, because I think what you'll probably see is him become the GM eventually.
Yeah, the Wolves have got the money.
Yeah.
Pay the men. The men have earned it. I'm going to contradict myself slightly here. I said earlier about Cartagena being the most important bit of business we could do. It's it's off the field, but it's Musi, it's Moreira, and I don't want to jinx anything right now on the stream, but reading between the lines of tweets and stuff, it looks like the three of them are edging closer to extending their stay with us. So if that proves to be the case, and I'm damn sure hope it is, you've got to hand Ricardo that for loyalty, because he has his name here. He's human, so he would have seen his name, linked to all of these roles, and that's got to make you feel good, right, as a person. So if he stays with us, I think that can only be good for us. And to come back and answer your question, David, about the Wolves, and how much money they've invested in the team. I don't know anything about the NFL. I can name you the teams east to west, but I don't know anything about NFL, so I'm not going to pretend. So I knew the Wolves were known within the NFL space with the Vikings, but I didn't know anything about them when they took over the club. But in any stewardship of any club, as a supporter, you want to see that they're, giving the coaching staff the right funds to get who they want. You want to see that they're genuinely passionate about the club that they've taken over, and they're visible and they go to games, and they're saying the right things. I just think, and like I said, I don't know about what they did with the Vikings before, but I just think strategically the timing of winning the Open Cup must have whetted their appetite, in 2022.
Absolutely.
Must have whetted their appetite. So echoing what Dan said, as a supporter, I have total faith in them because they've made the right moves so far. They've not been here that long, in the grand scheme of things. They've made the right moves. But what I would say in terms of squad investment, they've only been here, we've had other ownership groups. We've had Flavio, obviously, before. I don't think as an MLS club, we've ever really maximized the 3 designated players in our squad. Just as you guys were chatting, I was just pulling up a list of guys that have been DPs with us, and we've had some top players, Mauricio Pereira, Kaká, Nani, Facundo Torres, Yoshi Yotun, Urchikara, Dom Dwyer, Sasha Clegston. I go on and on, but I always envy, I don't know about you, I always enviously look at some of the other clubs across Major League Soccer, even some of the ones that aren't so glamorous, and I just look at who their 3 DPs are, and I'm like, yes, yes, yes. I don't think it's ever been so obvious with us. I would love us to have 3 guys at the absolute top of their game. I do want to see, one of my things I'm interested to see going into this offseason, a short one, is, yes, Mauricio's moved on now. I think Ojeda, who's the guy who's on the back of my jersey still, I think there is a lot more to come from him. But I hope that the Wilfs don't say, Mauricio's gone, this guy steps into the first 11. I don't want it to be Lucas Moura, by the way, as well, and not just because I'm an Arsenal fan.
Yeah.
I don't think he's of the caliber enough. I want to go and get a Lucas Zelarayan. I want to go and get a guy in that 10 who's an absolute, on top of his game. I don't know who that is. I haven't even got a name off the top of my head right now, but I do, and I think they will. Like I said, it whetted their appetite, that Open Cup win. And I think they're primed to give Oscar what he needs, especially now we've lost a couple key pieces. I'm excited to see who it is, but please not Lucas Moura.
No, for sure. I was listening to you guys, and I can't help to agree with all that. Brentwood was another team that was linked to Ricardo Moreira.
Yes,
just so
they
you
were.
know. And I believe the family probably said we don't want to go there. That's the Florida. So there's a lot of factors. I always say that I mean, not because I live here, right? You guys been here many times. Orlando, it's an okay place to live, better than most places in the United States, in my opinion. It doesn't get cold, and if you are an ethnic person from other parts of the American continent, there's always some paisanos here,
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're English or you're from Britain, you go to Publix. There's a section with food from back home. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what am I gonna say? I mean, it's a welcoming place. So the decision, I think the decision is not that tough.
You can get your HP sauce if you've ever.
Yeah, that's right. You sure can. On a tangent, one of the things that I am getting a taste for is that black currant drink. That fruit.
Ribena.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I found out. I was like our good friend Tom Lord from Bolton and a member of Orlando City, UK. He was here. He brought me some. He's always bringing me like weird what he considers things that we don't have here. Because by the way, blackcurrant is no longer you can no longer find it in the United States. It was eradicated.
You're joking, really? Wow.
Yeah, it was. I actually watched a YouTube video about this because I tasted it. I'm like, why? How come I never seen this fruit? And what it was that the tree that produces that fruit was creating some fungus on pine, and pine is a cash crop. It's wood that you can sell for construction, all sorts of things. So they made the decision to just eradicate it out of North America. So all the drinks obviously are coming from Europe. I have a great taste for it. They sell it at Publix, but for a liter of it, it's like $9. So it's an expensive treat for me. But that's it. Yeah, you can get all the goodies at Publix. So I mean, like I said, it's just a community that is welcoming, and it doesn't matter where you are from. You can find your niche, and I think that's why a lot of people like coming here. let's go ahead and wrap it up, guys, since we're hitting here the hour, and we're gonna go to our last topic. One of very controversial, very hot topic. No Open Cup for the
Yeah.
first team. Uh, yeah, and I'm gonna say my piece for 30 seconds, and I'm gonna let the guys because I believe if somebody is prepared to make a statement, is people who are hailed from the land where the sport was invented. My opinion, horrible decision to not participate on the oldest trophy, oldest tournament in this nation, one that has given us great moments as a club in USL and in MLS, and one that, in my opinion, sets back the sport in this nation a few years back. As a supporter of football here in the United States, I feel that sometimes we are part supporter, part missionary. We're out there like stomping, like, check the league out, check the sport. It's fun, I promise. And these decisions make it a hard sell. Like, for those that don't know, I had intestinal surgery earlier, in this later half of the year. My surgeon is a big Newcastle fan, and when he went to see me after the surgery, my wife brought me a Orlando City blanket, and he's like, "Are you a fan of those guys? I always see it, but I just never checked it out. Are they any good?" And I'm like, "Oh my god, doctor, I love him." He decides to go to his first Orlando City game when we lose to Columbus.
He can never
Decisions
go
like
again.
this,
It's
yeah,
all
decisions.
about.
Oh my god, I was just like, I asked him, he told me, and last week, and I said, "Not very good, right?" He said, "Nah." I'm
Send him
like,
to Fort Lauderdale.
"No, no, for sure."
Yeah.
But decisions like this hurt that fan that is on the edge, right? That of like, well, I'm used to top quality European football. Why should I care about my local club? So, then you were last first. You were first last. Let's go with Taylor, and then move on to Dan on your opinions about why this is a good or bad decision.
When I saw Jeff Reuter's tweet, I thought it was a joke. I actually thought it was a joke. I mean, what way to say, to be absolutely tone deaf, to your own people in your own league. I mean, American soccer, the sport is what am I trying to say? So much newer. It's such a newer concept in North America than it is, has hundreds of more years of history in Europe. That's a fact. That's not a slight on North America. That's a fact. But the US Open Cup, mistake me if I'm wrong, was a competition that has around 100 years, if not more,
Since
history. Right?
1917.
So I actually did enjoy League's Cup, right? More than I thought I would. I thought it was quite novel to go straight to PKs after I'd worked out, kind of the tiebreakers, and it was actually quite fun, despite the way it ended, may I add. But that competition is even younger. My next door neighbours have just had a baby, and that baby's older than that competition. So to see them die. It is only 1 year, if my understanding is correct, and then potentially Major League Soccer sides, their first teams return to the Open Cup from 2025 onwards, right? Okay, whatever. If that was their attempt to appease us, it's fell on deaf ears, because I've never seen the MLS community. We said, even off camera right before this stream, we've even got Inter Miami and Atlanta United fans kind of united with us at the moment in their disgust. Something's clearly gone wrong if that's happening. So it's actually made me feel good, the reaction of our community. It's quite a tight-knit community, if you follow Major League Soccer. The league gets bashed from pillar to post from Euro snobs and people in America. It's something we love a lot. And to see the guy who's been at the top of Major League Soccer, Don Garber, for a long time, essentially, have dollar signs in his eyes, like the Looney Tunes cartoons or whatever. He's just got messy. But now he's ditching this. It just seems every time the league takes a step forward, it wants to take one back. And this is from the guy at the top. So, I mean, the emotions, I was absolutely disgusted. I mean, it's a tournament that's close to our heart. We won it as recently as 2022. I was fortunate enough to be there. It was absolutely amazing. And to my dying day, honestly, I will hold that as one of my, fondest memories in football. And I'm an English guy whose Arsenal's my team. But it was absolutely amazing. So even if it's one season, you just do not be tone deaf like that. And you just do not dilute a competition with the history it has. It's disrespectful at the end of the day. And the last thing I want to say on this as well is it's the last two things I want to say on it, actually, because it's really sad. It's really, really sad what's happening. Sasha Cleston tweeted twice on the evening of Friday in response to Jeff Ruter's tweet.
Clearly got an email between the two.
Yeah. And clearly someone at Apple TV, Major League Soccer, the head office in New York City, you can't say that, give it a positive spin. I think it was an hour apart, his tweets, So it's glaringly obvious to all what everyone thinks of this. Some people are being censored. The likes of us on this stream right now, we're not being censored. So we can say it as it is, and it's an absolute disgrace. The other thing, which the cadence of the announcements, there's been so much going on, honestly. I've struggled to keep up this last week with everything that's going on. I don't know him personally, but his commentary has been absolutely tip-top in all of the years I've been watching Major League Soccer. English guy, Adrian Healy, he tweeted on the same day on Friday before Jeff Ruter's announcement, and he tweeted that he's going to be stepping down. And I read that tweet very carefully, and in the last few sentences, he says something, don't quote me, to the effect of, you fans are the best thing about this league. And to me, it was kind of like, they're going to do whatever they want with the league, and you guys have got to fight for it, essentially. That's what I took from that tweet. And to see that, guys like him, I always remember his commentary from Orlando City's inaugural fixture in Major League Soccer against NYCFC, the Citrus Bowl, Fielder Bowl. His words on that day, just encapsulated what that day meant to us. It was brilliant. And to see a guy like that stepping down, then to have the other L of, the Open Cup being diluted, I don't want to say it's him, but we are now in this messy era. The last pod we had, speaking of that Leagues Cup exit, is who's been making these decisions? The dollar signs are in Don's eyes right now. If he takes one, I'm sure he has a team that does this for him. If he takes one look at his Twitter responses over the last 48 hours, I mean, but they ultimately do what they want at the end of the day. We've seen time and time again in this league that we have to fight to keep it as it is. I don't want a super team in this league. I love Major League Soccer as it is, but unfortunately things change, and I'm hoping over the next 5 years that it doesn't change to the extent where they alienate the guys like me and you and Dan, the guys who love this league for what it is. And we've got to protect football heritage. That competition has stood the test of time for a reason. The Leagues Cup, who cares? They want to make some more bucks. They want to send our teams down to Mexico. It was a joke anyway that the Mexican teams had no home advantage. I mean, where's the legitimacy in that? So yeah, it's really sad, really. Disgusted and sad, I'd say, is my response.
There you go. Dan?
I have to compose myself a little bit because I'm still really angry about it. I think it's by far and away the most disgusting and disgraceful decision that the league has ever made, and that is saying something. It really is. A lot of people I've seen I say a lot of people, a couple of people on Twitter, X, whatever it's called now, have been saying, Garber's a mouthpiece for the owners, and I don't doubt that. Everybody knows that. The owners run everything behind the scenes, but make no mistake, this is his brainchild. Back in May, he was quoted as saying, the Open Cup's not up to the standard, the facilities aren't there, stuff. I'm like, mate, that when we say magic of the cup in this country, that is what we are talking about. Yeah. The beauty of the FA Cup, and this translates to the Open Cup as well, is when you have the big teams going to some random little town in the middle of nowhere where the striker's a plumber, the winger's a police officer and or a chemistry teacher or whatever, and they're playing against the big side, and it's life changing for that club. It's life changing for those players. It is brilliant. Like, you'll see it in the early rounds of the FA Cup where a Premier League team plays at home against a lower league team, and they'll typically be lower attendances. And it's when it's the other way round, when the Premier League team has to go to that other place. That's where the real magic happens. And it's the same with the Open Cup. Like, we've played USL sides, Miami FC, think of one, Memphis. Yeah,
we played Miami City. I don't know if you guys remember our UPSL team, and for them that was the moment of the season.
Yeah, I can't remember the team. No, that was Memphis FC, wasn't it? Where Janssen scored.
Yes, it was Memphis FC.
You know, those sorts of nights for the Memphis players that night, that would have been a memorable evening. That is the magic of the cup. That is everything, the whole fabric, the whole essence of it. And as Taylor alluded to earlier, you've got in MLS, you've got a young league, you've got a young sport, essentially. The one thing that has genuine 100-year history is the Open Cup. It's a brilliant tournament. The reason the viewing figures aren't there is because you don't make it accessible. Like, I just can't wrap my head around it. Why you would want that to die? And then they're talking about scheduling conflicts and stuff like that. Most teams go out early, so you're talking 1 or 2 games. You've lumped us with the Leagues Cup, which, you know, similar to Taylor, I actually found it quite entertaining in the end. I didn't want it initially. You know, it was entertaining, but it doesn't have the same aura as the Open Cup. And I'm like, and you had the MLS Players Association. I was really disappointed with their comments. That they said that, you know, a couple of their, you know, quite a few of their members weren't excited about playing in it. And I'm like, well, I know sure as anything that those players didn't play for Houston Dynamo or Orlando City last year. Mm-hmm. Because they look pretty excited about playing in it. To me, it's a tournament. They've taken a tournament away you know, one of the trophies is there available to win. So now you stuck with the Supporters Shield, the MLS Cup, and the Leagues Cup. You know, you've taken one avenue into the CONCACAF out of the CONCACAF Champions League. So what are you going to do with that spot? Are the MLS Next Pro team's going to fight for that now? Yeah. I'm presuming they're going to take that away, which then kicks the smaller clubs while they're down. There's actually a really great piece in the Guardian today about it, and it was saying that Don Garber in particular sees the USL and other factions of US soccer as a competitor, rather than something that is essential. Like the Premier League looks at the Football League. Sometimes they get the raw end of the deal, but they know how essential that is to their existence.
Absolutely.
MLS should not be looking at USL as a competitor. The article insinuates because USL clubs were knocking MLS clubs out, it makes them look bad. Mm-hmm. That is the magic of the cup. That is the beauty of it. Mm-hmm. The David versus Goliath story. Everybody loves an underdog.
Yeah, and like you say, not to cut in, but like you say, if the fear within Major League Soccer is, you know, there's no attendances because, you know, you've got all these minor league teams from the middle of nowhere. A Sacramento story, fortunately for us, only comes around once in a blue moon. You know, really, from the round of 32 onwards. But the MLS clubs have taken care of business. So, you know,
let's be honest, Sacramento got to the final because other teams disrespected them by not playing to their level.
That was magical. As much as I wanted to beat them, I spent weeks leading up to going over. I was like, that's an incredible story. And it captured my attention.
And you know, the LA Galaxy had an opportunity to knock them off. They decided to rest all their starters, and when they realized, oh wow, they're about to beat us, it was just way too late. So I just have to say that we had great stories. New Mexico FC, the Omaha Union, which is the
Yeah.
hometown club for Duncan McGuire, third division team, and there's stories like that. The story that always stays with me is when Christos FC, a semi-pro, a Sunday league team, goes to play against DC United and is up 1-0 at the
Yeah.
half. They were playing in a high school pitch, and the guys were just like you described, Dan, plumbers, students, and teachers. It was just a fantastic story,
Yeah.
and that doesn't happen without the Open Cup. To build on that, for those playing, David mentions his overseas teams bingo, and get your cards ready, take your shots. Stevenage, because we can't do the show without mentioning Stevenage. Last year went to Villa Park, and defeated them. Against the odds, took 3,000 fans. Mind you, in all the time that I've been following Stevenage, I think the best away support that Stevenage ever had probably is like 300-400 people. The Limex Stadium where Stevenage plays holds about 8,000 people. The fact that you took 3,000 people on the road to Birmingham tells me this mattered to the fans, because you're basically taking your hometown attendance to an away game, one which you were supposed to lose.
And side note, because David mentions it to the viewers.
Yes,
I'm Stevenage born and bred. That's the town I am from. 33 years of age now. We're talking about giant killings. As David says, they went to Premier League Aston Villa, the team my wife has supported for her whole life. Arsenal and Villa top of the Premier League right now. We might need separate houses if it's like that headed into May. Believe me.
There we go.
Last week. But I actually bought the replica shirt. Stevenage born and bred.
Yes.
From the day they beat Aston Villa. And
by the way, the only 50 jerseys were so quick story. We're going on another rabbit hole, but that's how the show is. People know. People know me. The Stevenage played purple for away and red for home. They're wearing, by the way, true story. I'm not making this up. They decided to wear away purple because of yours truly. Thank you very much. So with that said, yeah, and I'm not making this up. The club CEO told me that. He told he sent me a DM and said, "Hey, just to let you know, next year you're gonna love our colors. We're doing it for you." That's it. I'm not making it up.
Love that.
So there you go. For some reason, the colors were gonna be clashing with Villa's colors, so they decided to get this one time only white and blue kit, and it was such a monumental event. They even had it embroidered with the time. Trust me, Villa could care. I don't think they can find Stevenage on the map. To them it was just another day. And in a moment that for a husband, it's a difficult moment, because either do you make your wife angrier by going and spending £50 on a jersey to remind her, my team, my hometown team, be yours. Taylor did that. There was only 50 of them. Taylor got one. I got one. Mine, I had signed by the players. I never had any intention to wear mine. I just wanted to mount it. But it was an incredible moment, and one that I discussed with Steve Watkins and Dean Thompson, the voices of Stevenage, earlier today, because they said it was a great moment, a moment in the history of the town. And again, the magic of the FA Cup is such a beautiful thing this year. Hopefully, we're progressing at Stevenage. Hopefully, we're gonna have more moments like that. And I just think that in Orlando, we are, or in MLS here in the United States, we're taking away that spice, that what makes our sport different, guys.
Yeah,
and
what I'll add, David, as well is I flew to Orlando a couple days before the Open Cup final, and I was staying in I think it's the Crown Plaza, right where Colonial meets the I-4, right on the corner there.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about over there.
Yeah. because I was there a couple of days before, there were Sacramento Republic members of staff from their front office and supporters staying in that hotel. So we had, conversations in the elevator, welcomed them to town. They were kind of confused because I had an English accent. They was like, what are you doing here kind of thing. I told them about what we do. And, I wished them well, but I said, not too well because I want to win the game. But despite Sacramento losing that night, in that September night in Orlando, they will forever remember the run, though.
Absolutely.
That will stay with
memories.
that will stay with them for way longer than I don't mean any disrespect. I think they're in the USL, aren't they? So
yes, and they were chosen to go to MLS, and unfortunately, that was taken away from them.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. But it's those are the stories, where Monday comes around. Did you see, like Dan said, the plumber and the teacher that managed to get the better? They're the stories not only in soccer, in sport, that are just so encapsulating, so compelling. And, the pitchforks are out at the moment for Don Garber, and for good reason, because you're ripping that fabric away from the sport, something that makes it so special. We all love our league seasons, we all want to be top of the leagues. The cup usually in most continents, most countries comes secondary to that. But still, it's football heritage. And I really do feel that it's not too exaggerated to say, I think any supporter passionate about Major League Soccer like we are, this is the time to band together and let your feelings known. I really do.
Yeah, I want to piggyback off a word that Taylor just used, heritage. This is exactly what Don Garber does not care about. Mm-hmm. And you look at San Diego, the newest team that are coming in next year. You have a club there in San Diego Loyal who's got an established fan base. They've had Landon Donovan there. There's a small amount of history there that they've built something, and he's just gone in and gone, no. We're starting with a brand new team. I know it's different owners and stuff, but the San Diego Loyal did want to enter MLS. They just didn't have the funds to do it, to pay the Garber entry fee.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you have it right there. You have something that's got history, not albeit not much, but it's got history. It's got it. People are connected to it. People feel strongly about it, and you've just gone, no. We'll build something new, and it makes me sick. It's the antithesis of everything I believe in football. I know. Last time I was on this podcast, I was saying the same about Fort Lauderdale, how they're the plastic, it's built not bought not built, all that kind of thing, and that is just everything that Don Garber is, and the dare I say that a lot of the other MLS owners, how their interests are not growing the sport in the United States. Their interests aren't the clubs or the players. It's how much money can we make? How much of a cash cow can this be? And I've said it for so long. The biggest enemy to MLS is progression, because people want it to be up there with the top 5 leagues in years and years and years to come. The biggest enemy to MLS is MLS itself. The people that run it, they hold it back. It could be, and it's made tremendous amount of progress over the years. Like the standard of play is, a lot better. The supporter culture, everything about it, from the fan side and the player side, is brilliant. But from the front office side, they're a cancer. He needs to go. He needs to resign, and there needs to be a clear out. There won't be.
There won't be.
No matter what we do. And I'm not saying to people, please don't do this, but like people could protest and whatever outside of the headquarters in New York. This is not going to make a blind bit of difference, because they just don't care. They don't care about the sport. They don't care about the fans. They don't care about
business.
They care about how many dollars are in their bank account.
Yeah. And we're getting close to an hour and 30 minutes. So let's go ahead and round it up, guys. Once again, I appreciate you. Yeah. Listen, time flies by. Time flies by. My wife is giving me the laser look, like, hey man, wrap it up. No, but seriously, guys, thank you again for accepting my invitation. It's always great to talk to you guys. I have to the one thing I will say to finish what these two gentlemen had added is that you do have power. You can call the team, you can email the team, you can email the league, you can call the league. You can not go to league cup games, which is the official stand of on the Capo Stand. I don't intend to go. I intend to vote with my wallet. I definitely will support our B team OCB in Open Cup, but sadly those games may not even be at Exploria. They may be at Osceola County Stadium, which is not only are we downgrading the quality on the pitch, we're downgrading the facility, and that's a shame. With that said, if you guys can, give us last words. Darren and Taylor do fantastic work behind the scenes. Taylor, I will have to say, I would love to see you expand into maybe Instagram or Threads, because some of us are no longer on Twitter. Sort of miss your content. I do go to the website. That's a good thing.
Good man.
And then I'm gonna tell you a shameless plug here. We're gonna be using more of your content that you put out on YouTube, because it's fantastic interviews, and obviously giving you credit. In 2024, definitely. I was looking, I was consuming your content. I'm like, why do we never use this stuff on the show? So we're gonna be doing that. So let's start with you then. For those people living under a rock that don't know who you are and what you do, if you can go ahead and pitch in the English Line, which is a fantastic source of information for Orlando City.
Yeah, so I started the English Lion 3 years ago now. We mainly do match. Well, I mainly do match analysis after the games. If I can stay up late enough, which is getting harder the older I get, I attend the post-match press conferences, and if I don't, as David has alluded to, I tend to upload them to YouTube. So my YouTube channel is the English Lion. You can find me on X, is probably where I'm the most prolific, at the English Lion 1. I'm also on Instagram, Threads, TikTok. I think that's it. But so yeah, come and hit us up.
Awesome, Taylor.
Yes, so you can find us, as David mentioned, we have a website, so we are orlandocityuk.com. You'll see me tweeting about 3 times an hour at the moment, honestly, on my Twitter, or X account as it's called, which is Orlando_City UK. There's tons of great Orlando content creators out there right now. David's one of them. English Lion Dan is another one. Brilliant stuff. Really want to big you guys up. Our niche kind of in the Orlando City content creation is stat. I love stats. I've always been a stat nerd ever since I've been in university. So that's our main offering, really. We do stats previews before every single one of Orlando City's fixtures. I actually spent last week doing the stats for Flamengo. Can you believe that? That's how much of a nerd I am. Friendly, as well as the 2 legs against Cavalry. I've done all of my research. So those will be hitting you in the new year. But until then, in the meantime, I love seeing what everyone in our community has to say. I love fan opinion. So we're doing a ton of Twitter Reacts articles at the moment. So, taking all of the headlines, Antonio Carlos, Pereira, Cartagena, etc. Want to see what all of our fans are saying about it, good or bad, right or wrong decision. We'll be doing a ton of those throughout the off season. So keep your eyes peeled.
Oh, awesome. And you just reminded me of something real quick. I don't believe you guys are a member of the Orlando City Soccer discussion group on Facebook. I'm a member there, and if you're
I
not,
hear it's quite crazy over on Facebook, though. Can you?
yeah. Listen, I like this group. It's not the usual
I'm
Facebook.
in it, but I don't post very often.
I'm gonna check you guys out. If you're not, I'm gonna send you an invite. Again, I think there's a lot of good people there. A lot of Brits. And there's let me send a shout out to a Orlando City supporter from the UK that just recently moved to Orlando, and I'm looking quickly. Stuart Wilkins, a Bradford City supporter back home. He just recently moved to Orlando, and tonight he's taking his first dose of Solar Bears hockey. And I told him, I say, "Hey, I'm gonna send you a shout out." He's checking the podcast out for the first time, so thank you very much for that. I just have to say, thank you guys for all you do, the content. Well, believe it or not, we've known each other since 2015. It seems like 9 years. Seems like yesterday.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
And yeah, it's just been a lot of fun, and hopefully 2024 is gonna bring great things. Like we
Same
mentioned
here.
before, the off season is even practically non-existent. We'll be talking about Orlando City past Christmas. This year, here at least for my company, we get the 25th and 26th off. I actually finally get Boxing Day off. I spent to watch a lot of football, a lot of
Nice.
Steven. Take your shot.
Couch day.
Um, yeah, for sure. And talking about that, we're going over a little bit. Taylor was at the Lamex recently
Oh, yeah.
on the East Terrace, seeing Steven H. Win. So that's good. What? My son is asking me about something. And I hope you had a good time. Hopefully, in 2024, Taylor, we're gonna be under the floodlights at the Lamex. I'm gonna be hold. They're gonna put my intestine where it's supposed to be, and I'm gonna be good. Guys, thank you very much. I'm just rambling now. Hopefully, we're gonna be able to do this again in the summer. Seeing how the first half of the season goes, and keep doing what you're doing, and we'll stay in touch over the internets, as the kids say. So, with
Thanks
that
for having
said,
us.
thank you, brother. Thank you. It means the world. I know it's getting late, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up by saying that we are saying goodbye, like we always do, by reminding everybody that football is the sport for those that don't mind having their mouth smashed and their hearts broken. Football is not played on paper; it's played on grass. If you have never cried for joy or anger over football, have you ever really football? From myself, from Dan, and from Taylor, may God bless you. And as always, vamos, Orlando!